I'm out here to do another video today. It's been a long time since I've done these. I've been done for a good long while some videos on just some of the basic beliefs, the doctrines, and that sort of thing, that sort of to give people just a indication of where I stand on things, what my beliefs are on these things. And as I mentioned in my last video that I did on the Advent Sunday a couple of days ago, or 3 days ago. Today's Wednesday when I'm doing this. But at any rate, I didn't have the ability to do it for a while, so that's one of the reasons that I hadn't done it. And you just kind of stop doing things for a while, and it gets easier not to do them. So, but it's good to be back out and doing it. I'm in kind of an open field here now. What you can see, because where I've got the camera at, you see all the trees behind me, some of them that are lost their leaves, and there's some pines back there, but this is kind of an open field area that I'm in. The camera is actually sitting in a tree at the moment. But at any rate, I'll show it to you once I get done, where I'm at here. And I want to talk one more thing. The last one I did, and this has been, like I said, several months since I did one of these, but the last one I did was about creation, and I've talked about that for a couple of different videos, and it's an important topic. But I want to finish it up with this one, talking about the creation of man. And obviously where we would look at in that is in Genesis chapter 1, and you could read Genesis 1 and 2 both for this, but just for the purpose that I'm wanting to look at it today, and there's other places throughout Scripture that talk about this also, but this is the sort of the original text you would go to. But it's Genesis chapter 1, verse 26. It says, "And God said, let us make man in our image, after our likeness, and let them have dominion over the fish of the sea, and over the fowl of the air, and over the cattle, and over all the earth, and over every creeping thing that creepeth upon the earth." So God created man in his own image. In the image of God created he him. Male and female created he them. Now, I want to go into the points here about what is meant when it says God says, let us make man. There's you can read a lot of discussion on why he says here, why the first person plural here of us is being used. And then in verse 27 it says, so God created man in his image. So there it goes back to when it describes it, it doesn't say God created man in there, but in his. It comes back to being singular. A lot of stuff talked about the Trinity and so forth when you get into that. And I talked about the doctrine of the Trinity in the previous videos, so you can read those and see what I've said about that. And I'm not going to go into that, but and there's other theories about why us is used here and not my. So I'm not going to go into that. It's not, it's not important for the discussion of this video. But you can look it up on other things. Maybe some other time we can discuss that. But today, because all I'm wanting to talk about is the creation of man himself. And it says, let us make man in our image and after our likeness. Let him have dominion over the fish of the sea, and over the fowl of the air, and over the cattle, and over all the earth, and every creeping thing that creepeth upon the earth. So there's a couple of things that's said about this. First, it says, God says, let us make man in our image and after our likeness. This is something that is totally different than any of the rest of creation. All the things that you can see behind me here, the trees, the birds. I don't know if you can hear them, but I can hear some off in the distance. And I've seen various insects flying around here. I saw a spider earlier today crawling around, and in this area, I see a lot of the creeping things, all the beasts of the field that it talks about in here. It says over the fish of the sea, the fowl of the air, and over the cattle, and every creeping thing. I've seen a lot of that stuff out in this area, and you see it all over the earth in various places. And man said to let him have dominion. But those are things, all these things, the beasts of the field, the birds of the air, the fish, the trees, the grass, and all the other things that you can read about in Genesis 1, none of them are said to be made in God's image. That is a privilege and a responsibility that exists only in man. And that is what makes man, that is what puts man above, over and above the rest of creation. All of the animal creation, the plant, as well as the non-living parts of creation. From the greatest stars out in the universe to the lowest piece of sand on earth, to the dogs, cats, fish, those crows that I hear off in the distance, these insects that occasionally fly around me here. What makes man superior to all those is man was created in the image of God. And that's what gives man this reign over all these things. He says for man to have dominion over the fish and the fowls, as well as the cattle, the creeping things, is that man was to have dominion over everything. And the psalmist tells us this in the 8th Psalm. Let me turn to that just for a moment and to read that to you. 8th Psalm, which was, we believe, written by David. This is verse 4, or verse 3 rather. He says, "When I consider thy heavens, the works of thy fingers, the moon and the stars which thou hast ordained, what is man that thou art mindful of him, and the son of man that thou visitest him? For thou hast made him a little lower than the angels, and hast crowned him with glory and honor. Thou hast made him to have dominion over the works of thy hands. Thou hast put all things under his feet, all sheep, oxen, yea, even the beasts of the field, the fowl of the air, and the fish of the sea, and whatsoever passeth through the paths of the sea." So we're told man was, yes, the psalmist asked, what is man that you're mindful of him? Because he said, I look at the heavens and I see everything, and we can do it today with even greater grandeur than what David could have 3,000 years ago. We can see all of these things and wonder, what is it about man that's so special? Well, we're told he's given dominion. It says, you've made him just a little lower than the angels. And the Hebrew word there for angels is the word Elohim, God. You've made him just a little lower than yourself. And you've given him dominion over all these things. Man was created special. That's what makes man more important. That's why it is a very thing that I have emphasized to a lot of people. It's why humans are more important than animals. I don't believe in the mistreatment of animals, but it's not the same thing as the mistreatment of humans. Humans were made in the image of God. Animals were not made in the image of God. That's why I have no problem eating meat, because animals are not, it's not the same as eating a human being. It's not the same as being a cannibal, because animals were created for man's well-being. To give glory to God, yes, but also for man's well-being. And why, as I say, I don't believe in the mistreatment of animals or cruelty to animals. I don't equate them as being the same as humans. Humans are more important than animals are. And humans are also given dominion over the animals. They are humans are the word would be the vice regent, the one who reigns in the place of God. They're the ones who have the image of God. God was over all these things, and he puts humans to reign over these things in his place. It's part of what the image and the likeness contains. It's the idea that man has the responsibility of doing what God had called him to do. We are to bear the image of God here on earth. We have it, and we are to show it here on this earth. And then, of course, he says, God created man in his own image. In the image of God created he him. Male and female created he them. Male and female both bear the image of God. And so this, as I say, is what makes human beings more important than the rest of creation. It puts human beings between God and the animal world. Created just as the animal world is. We're still the creation of God. But we're created a little bit higher. There's a little higher order to us than there is to them. We have the image of God. And there's one other thing, because we'll talk about man a little bit more as this kind of segue into that, is it also means man is capable of sin. Because animals were not created in the image of God. Animals act on instinct, just sort of natural things. Animals are not given commands, are not given moral commands, guidelines, what have you, as far as behavior. Human beings are. And that's why human beings are capable of sinning. Animals aren't capable of sinning. Animals just do what animals do. Maybe things we don't like, but animals are just doing what animals do. Some of that does relate to the fall, I will grant that, but it nevertheless has nothing to do with them violating God's command. They're not under a moral command of God like humans are. So humans are capable of sin. We're capable of great evil. It's worth noting when you read that in Genesis, it does not say when he saw man that it was good. He says that about just about everything else he creates. He said God saw it that it was good, but he doesn't say it about man. Whether man's good or not is yet to be seen. We find out whether man is. The rest of creation, God says is good. With man, let's just say the jury's still out, when God had created him at least. So that's what we can look at. One of the things to look at is that God created us, human beings. He created us in his image, and that gives us great importance, but also a great responsibility. And one other thing about the image is, like, just when you're looking at this video, you're seeing an image of me. And if this video is doing its job right, you're seeing exactly what you would see. I look exactly the same as if you were standing right here in front of me. But you readily know that that's not me that you're looking at. It's an image of me. That's what us humans are to be. We're to be images of God. We're not God, but we're to show what it is God would be were he here in our place. And if we do what it is he's called us to do right, we show exactly what it is God is. But when we fall into sin, it's like a cracked mirror, or like if you crack this, whatever it is you're watching me on, I'd look really weird. I'd look a whole lot different. You'd see something almost be laughable to look at it. So that's an important thing to remember. Now, the rest of creation does also reflect God. It tells us something about God, but it's not made in his image. Sort of like if you see an artist who draws a picture of something, you can see, this must be a great artist, but you don't know what the artist looks like or anything, but if somebody were to take a picture of him or to paint one of him, then you'd see what he looks like, because it's made in his image. The rest, all his other artworks will show something about him, and you can get the idea there's an artist there. But you really don't know anything about him, what he looks like or anything. But if I draw a picture of him, or if he does a self-portrait or something, then you would see what he looks like. So that's what humans are. Humans reflect the image of God in that sense, either well or not so well. And as I say, that gets into other things when we talk about man and the fall of man, which hopefully I will be talking more on very soon. So I just wanted to kind of wrap up the doctrine of creation a little bit with that, with the creation of human beings, and why human beings are important, and why human beings have the responsibility that we have as the image bearers of God. As I said, I want to kind of show you, just take this, show you where I'm at right here. Let me zoom out some more on this. This is a kind of an open field with sort of the forest area around it. I think this was done here in the state of Georgia by the Georgia Department of Wildlife. This was meant to be something, well, right over here, in fact, you can see this over here, they've sort of put this, I don't know if you can see that sort of cage around this here, just to show people that come through here just to show, back off, what it's, this is what it would be if there weren't animals in here eating it, if there weren't deer and rabbits and squirrels and other things in here eating. It's just to show people that come through here what the difference of that is. So that is where I'm at right here. And the last video I did, this is in the same general area as that, but just in a little bit different place. So with that, I'm going to wrap this up and say that I hope everyone is having a good day, and hope that you're enjoying these. And I will talk with you later. Have a blessed day, everyone.